Well, a true music legend is hanging with me today, and someone who I can honestly say is an icon of heavy metal. We have joining us for the 2-hour edition of Metal Mania, none other than Ronnie James Dio. Ronnie, welcome. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Edward.
Ronnie and the rest of the band that bears his name, Dio, are touring the country in support of their great new album, Master of the Moon. 10 new classic metal tracks forged in the classic Dio tradition. Now, Dio fans, if you have yet to pick up this record, do so. It is another amazing piece of work from Ronnie James Dio. And Ronnie, I know that over your career, you've drawn inspiration from so many different areas. Tell us about the title of Master of the Moon, what it means and where it came from.
Well, I've tried most of my life to let people know that you don't have to be 7 feet tall, really, to succeed in your life. And you don't have to be someone who can be placed on the cover of a modeling magazine to succeed in life or to be happy in your life. So having said those two things, obviously I'm not quite as tall as you are, Ed, so I'm a good example of all that kind of thing. So Master of the Moon really, I think, is another one of those cries out to people to say, don't worry about what people think you are. You are someone. You're a person who's grown into your own skin in your own way. You can succeed. Don't worry about what people say about you. The point being that most people who want to change you say, come into the sun. Let's put the light on you so we can see you and so we can change you as well. Mm-hmm. So obviously, if you're not that, you must be some kind of darker person. You must be a moon person. So we're going to call you Master of the Moon. Well, you know what? Good to be Master of the Moon, because all it says is you're your own person. You can be your own person. You don't have to let others make you what they think you should be. Mm. Master of the Moon is just that whole collective idea that be proud to be Master of the Moon.
Now, the record has some changes to it in terms of the lineup. Talk about what's going on with the Dio lineup now, who's gone, who's in, and also changes as far as the touring is concerned.
Well, Jimmy Bain, who's the most obvious missing piece right at the moment, has gone. Again, you'd have to ask him his reasons for that. I think it's something that he should tell you. I would only think that he must have been dissatisfied with something. Hopefully it wasn't me, because we've had a long, long time together, a great time together. I don't remember doing anything too wrong to him when he left, so he's gone. We needed to repopulate the band, of course, for the recording, and we chose Jeff Pilson, who had played with us before for a couple times, who did a magnificent job on the album. I couldn't have asked any more than that for Jeff. Touring-wise, which this kind of relates to touring as far as the bass goes, we're using Rudy Zarzo. Jeff and his wife had their first child just at the time when we were about to go on the road, so it was not in the cards for him to be on the road with us. So again, we were able to get Rudy, who has been absolutely brilliant on the road, not only as a player, because he's a star in his own right. I mean, incredible stage performance, a great aura, but just one of the nicest people I've ever met. And that's what you kind of really look for, someone that you're compatible with all the time. And I think we certainly found that. We have the inclusion of Craig Goldy back again with us. Craig, of course, played on the album. Before that, we had Doug Aldrich, and Doug had chosen to go off with Whitesnake, which he's doing at the moment now. Again, a very affable party. He's a great guitar player, a really wonderful guy too, a good friend. But we had to find someone to replace him, and we called Craig at that point, who had left for his own personal reasons before. Found out that he had those things all sorted out, was able to come back, and we kind of picked up where we left off with Craig. It was a very easy transition. We've all known him for so long and like him, and he's a great writing partner with me as well. Mm-hmm. So it's the others are the same, Simon Wright, myself, and Scott Warren. Mm-hmm. So it's only those kind of changes that really aren't changes. It's only Rudy come into play and Craig coming back. Right.
Well, great guitar players are something that you've had in common throughout your entire career, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But right now, more Metal Mania here on VH1 Classic. Well, I'm hanging with Ronnie James Dio during Metal Mania today. Of course, everybody knows Ronnie from his great work with Elf, Rainbow, Black Sabbath, and of course, Dio for the last 20 years or better. And Ronnie has a great new album out with Dio called Master of the Moon. Master of the Moon features the return of longtime guitarist Craig Goldy. It's an album certain to soon take its place alongside such other Dio classics as Holy Diver and The Last in Line. Ronnie, I always found it interesting because as a kid, growing up, being a fan of all the bands and all the work that you did, like a lot of people, I actually for a brief time thought you were British because you were in Rainbow and Sabbath and all these British-based bands. But in reality, you're from a small town in central New York, and I never really heard your story about what it was like growing up there and how that played a role in you breaking out and becoming what you are today.
I think that's a very, very easy answer. I wanted to get the hell out of there, to tell you the truth. You know, it was a little town, and I had aspirations to go to other places. I mean, I was a voracious reader as a kid, so I read about all the places that I wanted to go to see. And I've been very lucky that I've seen almost all of them so far. So it was a matter of, you know, just wanting to spread my wings, getting away from it. But it was a great place to grow up. It was a great moral place to grow up. The people were wonderful there, not only to me, but most of them were my relatives anyway. It's kind of the sister town of Rome, because it has 7 hills and 7 valleys, the town Cortland is. And the rest of the people who live there are all Italian anyway, so it was quite a good place to grow up. But it was a wonderful place to grow up. Another good part about it was that there's a university there, which is a state university, a SUNY school in Cortland. And so most of the people who went to that school brought their music from the city, mainly a lot of them from the island. And so they brought all the music that we never would have heard in our little town. And it was like living in New York as far as the music went. So we were really given that music before anyone else was. That influenced us greatly to want to be musicians, to want to play. And we had great audiences there because the people who came from the city wanted to go to, you know, to places to see a band. So it was all just perfect for us, a great place to grow up.
So was music really then what you found to be the catalyst for you to kind of get out of there? Did you look at getting into music as your ticket out? Was that really what it was? Or did that inspiration to get into music come from other areas? Were there things that you saw or heard while you were there?
No, I think it was more a matter of the music led me to the opportunity to go into the world. Without that, I probably would have, you know, I would have gone to a university somewhere, which I did anyway, but I would have used that university degree to become probably not a musician, but because I started so early in my life, you know, at 5 years old, playing the trumpet because my dad wanted me to, it introduced me to music, then therefore introduced me to music that came from other places and made me want to go to those places to experience it. So it was really all about the music itself because of that early yearning from my dad to give me some other kind of education, which was a music education, and everything stemmed from there. It was purely music that got me out of the town.
Real quick, specifically, what were the actual bands that you heard as a kid there that were the real influence for you that really said, man, I want to do this?
Well, you know, the first band that I ever heard that I wanted to be like was a band called Rick and the Rickettes. And they were from Binghamton, New York.
Doesn't sound very metal.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. You know, we all had to remember, that was a long, long time ago. I think, you know, the term metal was only used for buckets of water and things like that. But that was the first band that I had ever seen. I saw them at a school dance. And I saw them and said, yep, that's what I'm going to do. And that's exactly what I did. And from then on, I formed a band that night. Said to a couple of guys I know, oh, he's a drummer, right? You want to play drums in my band? Yeah, okay. You? Bass? Yeah, okay. Guitar? Sure. What are you going to do? I don't know. I'll play the trumpet, and which I did, because that's the only instrument I knew. And we formed the band that night, and then everything else evolved from my stopping playing the trumpet and becoming a bass player and then therefore a singer and all that.
Right now, somebody out there watching on VH1 Classic from Rick and the Rickettes is very excited. We've got plenty more still to come on Metal Mania here as I continue to hang out with Ronnie James Dio. Stick around.